Bhagavati Shloke Bhakti Ravati Naishaki Vindraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. We're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 30th chapter. Titled as Description of Adverse Fruitive Activities by Kapila Dev to Mata Devhuti. So, Kapila Dev is explaining that when a man is not able to control his senses and he's attached to the materialistic way of living, then, and even at the time of death, one is attached to family members. And at the time of death, he's suffering, he's not able to speak, throat is covered with the mucus, there's great pain, and such a state, one is surrounded by the family members, and he dies in that way. And then what happens after the death? That is mentioned after. This shlokas explained what happens to the soul who is materially attached after the death. So here is mentioned. Yamaduto tada prapto bhimosara bha sekshano sadrishtva trastaradaya shakran mutran vimuchyati. Translation. At the death, he sees the messengers of Lord of Death come before him, their eyes full of wrath, and in great fear he passes urine and stool. So here, this materially attached man who is too much engaged whole life in sense gratification, he has done all sort of sinful activities for the pleasure of his and his family. And at the time of death, he is not able to speak. His family members are around. He dies in that way. And then at that time, Yamadutas will come. Why? Because this person has committed all sorts of sinful activities. And then these Yamadutas are ferocious looking. Their eyes are full of anger. And seeing the Yamadutas, most of the people, this I have seen it many times, that people at the time of death, have you seen people, somebody dying? They have urine or stool, or their hands are like this, or eyes are wide open. Why? Because they are fearful of Yamadutas, because Yamadutas are ferocious living entities. So they are coming there to take that sinful soul to the Yamaloka, punish him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
There are two kinds of transmigration of living entity after passing away from the present body. One kind of transmigration is to go to the control of sinful activities, who is known as Yamraj. And the other is to go to the higher planets up to Vaikuntha. Here Lord Kapila describes how a person engaged in activities of sense gratification to maintain a family are treated by the messenger of Yamraj called Yamadutas. At the time of death, the Yamadutas become the custodian of those persons who have strongly gratified their senses. They take charge of the dying man and take him to the planet where Yamraja resides. The conditions that are described in the following verses.
So, those who are too much attached to sense gratification means too much eating, too much sleeping, too much attraction for the opposite gender, anything sense gratification. So, what is opposite of sense gratification?
Sense control.
Opposite of this is sense engagement in service of Krishna. So, sense control is very difficult actually. But to engage it in the service of Krishna is very important. Actually, in Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna that unless and until one is able to control, or unless and until one is able to detach the senses from the sense enjoyment, it is not possible to have a peaceful mind. And when the mind is not peaceful, what happens? There is no chance of happiness. So if one wants to be happy, the first requirement is
To serve our senses to Lord Krishna.
engage the senses in the service of Lord Krishna. That is the most important thing. And that also includes the mind also to be engaged in service of Krishna. So the persons who are not able to do this and they are gratifying their senses, then what happens? The Yamadutas will come. And what will happen? Yamaduta will take down that soul to Yamraj. And then there are another type of people who come at the time of death, which is Vishnu Dutta, who will take it to Vaikuntha Loka. So, in the following verse, the conditions of soul who are taken to Yamaduta are explained here. So it says, Yatana Deha Vratya
Natana deha pragatyam
Pasher Badhva Gale Balat
pasherbadha
Nayato Digram Advanam
Maheto digram advanam
Dandayam Raj Bhatayat
dandayam raja bhatayatha
Dandayam Raj Bhatayatha.
dandayam raja bhatayatha.
So, as a criminal is arrested for punishment by the constables of the state, a person engaged in criminal sense gratification is similarly arrested by Yamadutas, who bind him by the neck with a strong rope and cover his subtle body so that he may undergo severe punishment. Now, subtle body. What is the subtle body? There is two types. There are two types of body. One is gross body, and another is what is gross body is composed of? So, gross body is composed of earth, water, air, fire, and ether. And what is the subtle body composed of?
Uh,
Subtle body is composed of
uh,
subtle body. Subtle means which you cannot see. What you cannot see? You cannot see the mind, intelligence, and ego. So these are three coverings of subtle body: mind, intelligence, and ego. So there is a soul, subtle body, and then gross body. So when we die, gross body is left. What comes with you is subtle body. Now the subtle body is there, which is mind, intelligence, ego, and then the soul is there. Now the punishment is for the subtle body. So mind is punished. How? The neck of that subtle body is covered with a rope and then dragged to the Yamloka. And then he goes under serious punishment. So here Srila Prabhupada is explaining.
Every living entity is covered by a subtle and gross body. The subtle body is the covering of mind, ego, intelligence, and consciousness. It is said in the scriptures that the constables of Yamaraj govern the subtle body of the culprit and take him to the abode of Yamraja to be punished in a way that he is able to tolerate. He does not die from the punishment because if he dies, then who would suffer the punishment? It is not the business of the constables of Yamaraja to put one to death. In fact, it is not possible to kill a living entity because factually he is eternal. He simply has to suffer the consequences of his activities of sense gratification.
You see, sense gratification is so dangerous. Is that right? So this is better we understand this before we enter into this field of bhoga. Sense gratification is also called indriya bhog. So indriya bhog, eating too much, sleeping too much, these are all dangerous things because that too much will lead us to sinful life. So, and then you will be punished. So, and the punishment is not death, punishment is suffering. That is the punishment.
The process of punishment is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Formerly, the king's men who take a criminal in a boat in the middle of the river, they would drown him by grasping a bunch of his hair and thrusting him completely underwater. And when he was almost suffocated, the king's constables would take him out of the water and allow him to breathe for some time, and then they would again dug him in the water to suffocate. This sort of punishment is inflicted upon the forgotten soul by Yamraj. So, as will be described in the following verses.
So Chaitanya Charitamrita describes how kings used to punish. So they put under water, and then as soon as he was about to die, take him out again, put like that. So that is suffocation. They don't want him to die. What do they want? Suffer. Just suffocate as much as possible, and then breathe sometime, and then put it again in the water. So in this way, this is a punishment. So this type of punishment is inflicted upon all the living entities who do not abide by the laws of material nature and who break the laws. One who breaks the laws will be punished. So here is the punishment by Yamdutas. So you see, this sort of understanding is very important because we cannot take everything casually. You understand? This Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining us that if we break the laws, we'll be punished either here or another planetary system, which is called Yamaloka. And then if you do good, then you will be getting rewarded also in the Vaikuntha Loka. So what's the point in suffering all the time? Rather than we should just serve Krishna. You see, anyhow, when you serve Krishna, you get prasadam. Why to eat food outside in the restaurant when you get Krishna prasadam? So do anything and everything for service of Krishna. Then our life will be sublime. Otherwise,